Well, welcome, my friends, to the show that never ends. And we got a little bit of a show for you today. We've been away all weekend. We've only really just got back, haven't had a chance to put the music together. So you're lucky you've just got bog standard music. I'm afraid nothing special. But what we do have to talk about today is MK Dons versus Wycombe Wanderers. And we're going to do a particular special piece. And the relevance of this is really quite high. Goalkeeper, time-wasting bastards, we know what we are, Wycombe Wanderers. And I'm going to read this little piece off of from the MK Dons newsroom. This is the manager, the MK Dons manager, speaking after the game, all right? Manning blasts laughing officials, disgraceful in Wycombe defeat. Referee Oliver Langford and his assistants drew the scorn of William Manning on Saturday after he claimed the officials were laughing at him and his MK Dons team after losing to Wycombe. Well, I'm sure we could get a group together to have a good old laugh at them, shall we, Kieran?
Yeah, I'd back it.
Yeah. While Dons dropped to the foot of League One table as a result of their fifth defeat in a row, Manning felt the officials allowed the Chairboys to graciously time waste in the second half in particular, while overlooking what he felt was a penalty for a foul on Daniel Harvey in the first. That was never, ever a penalty. That's the first thing worth mentioning.
Can we mention the words they used to describe our time wasting? Graciously, we did it wonderfully. Our time wasting
with real talent.
It was lovely.
After we've discussed the actual game, we are going to do a time wasting top 15 because I feel that everybody has a go at Wycombe for time wasting. Well, I think it's about time we taught other people how to do it because it's definitely a part of the game and you have to be good at it. And we are. So I think it's only fair to offer this to other teams. So me and you are going to discuss all the time wasting skills that Wycombe have and then pass it around to see if anybody else would like to use it.
It's nice of us, isn't it? It's really nice.
I think it's only fair. You know, it's only fair. So Wycombe time wasting yet again. But the other thing before getting into it, I need to play this. I'm hoping this is from an MK Dons vlog. All right. And I hope you can hear this.
You can hear it.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right then. To be fair, we didn't play that badly. The first half was good. We were the better side. Unfortunately, we conceded because I would have taken a 0-0 any day there. Their fans were dreadful. I'm going to say it right now. They were dreadful. Their away end holds about 1.8k, I believe, at their ground. We sell that out instantly. In the playoffs, we saw that out very, very fast. And in the league as well, we basically sold it out. And they bring about, I think that's about 900 to our ground, and they were dreadful. But they're very, very silent. Even though they're 1-0 up in a derby, as they call it, it's important for them because they don't really have a big derby. And we obviously got the main rivals, obviously AFC. But they were poor today. Let's make that. I have to say that because other teams, such as Plymouth, for example, loud, all that way down the country are loud, bring good numbers, and they bring about 900, make no noise for a derby. But yeah, let's see you Tuesday night. We need to make a change.
So I just thought I'd play that because he goes on, and the quantity of write-ups that people make on that comment is really quite funny. Just to mention, there would have been a few more Wycombe fans, but there were 300 caught on the trains, and a lot of them ended up catching Uber taxis and paying a fortune to get to the ground. They wouldn't have had any hold-ups, though, getting to the ground because the bloody place is empty anyway. Holds, was it 30,000? And you want to have a look at the pictures of it. I have to be honest and say I didn't go. I went to Portsmouth to see my two sons, but I've been a number of times. I don't like it. It's a horrible place. It's horrible. I don't. Good luck to him if he wants to go there. It's got no atmosphere whatsoever. It's a horrible place. And in fact, they only hire it and they're looking at possibly building somewhere else. And I don't blame them. And just to mention, he's obviously not very happy because he lost. They're playing absolutely crap and are bottom of the league. But why have a go at Wycombe? Maybe he'll make one or two comments. That was his piece after the game. Maybe he wants to look at his football team and his manager and make comments about them improving and sorting things out rather than blaming 900 Wycombe fans. Seems very strange. He sounded very bitter, don't you think, Kieran?
I mean, slightly. As he mentions that we consider this a derby as such. I've never heard a Wycombe fan refer to this game as a derby. Particularly, do we like Milton Keynes? No, but I wouldn't call it a derby per se.
Well, the trouble is Wycombe don't have derbies. We don't have any.
No,
we've got Oxford.
Oxford's about
it, and they're not really a derby.
No,
and then we've got MK Dons because they count as being in Buckinghamshire.
Yeah,
but they're too new to be a derby.
Maybe
they've
he
only
thought
been
there
around
was
5 years.
Maybe he thought there was a bit of a lack of atmosphere from Wycombe fans because they literally, I mean, from when you went, they stuck you in the highest point of the ground, just away from everything, didn't they?
They stick you in a horrible hiding place.
Yeah.
Where all the rest of the ground is empty. You can't hear anything. There is no noise at the place. Ainsworth again comments about how great the noise was from the Wycombe. So maybe, you see, I would understand, okay, if numbers do count for volume. Okay, of course it does. And of course Plymouth have more numbers. They're a bigger club, okay? But that ground does not produce noise. I cannot hear any of the MK Dons fans at all when I went. I've been a few times. You cannot hear them. I'm sure they are singing. I bet they are shouting and making noise, but I can't hear them. And does that mean they're not? Or does it just mean the stadium's crap? You know?
It'd be like having, it's obviously slightly different, but it'd be like having 2,000 fans at the top of Wembley, far in the stands, and then 2,000 the other ends, up in the stop ends. Even though it's a solid number of people for some clubs, you can't hear it because it's so sodding big and not crowded, but the space is so big. So yeah, he's just chatting rubbish and he's obviously very annoyed. And to be fair, I think it was about 1,200 that Wycombe bought actually.
Yeah.
And that's
not bad. That's a quarter of Wycombe fans. A quarter of Wycombe fans are committed to going to the away game. I wonder if a quarter of Milton Keynes fans are.
We'll have to see.
I'm not going to criticise their fans for the ones that do and don't go. I'm not going to do that. I think that's a bit rude, actually. I think he's just a little bit upset. So he talks about the wasting time, and so did their manager. And so we will help him with that in a little while. We will give him some advice, all right? Now, getting on to the game. Now, you might wonder how we make comments on a game we didn't go to. It's because we've watched Match of the Day for so long now, we can talk about games we haven't got a bloody clue about, just as they do on Match of the Day. The only difference is they have a little board that they can put arrows on. He ran forward at this point, and things like that.
The only thing we can do is that I can put a love heart emoji on my screen.
That's very good. I love you too.
That's all I can do. Or raise my hands if I got something to say.
I like that. Well, let's look at the game, shall we? We can. The first thing worth mentioning is the bits that he didn't. All right, the bits that he didn't was, I think, every single player got higher marks for their game than every single MK Dons player, except for their left back, who got a 7.1. Maybe, just maybe, it wasn't the wasting time that lost their game. It might be because all their players were worse than the Wycombe players. Do you think that's a possibility?
It may well have been, mightn't it?
It might have been. Their striker got a 5.8. Not exactly bombing along there. Goals, none. Assists, none, obviously. Accurate passes, 18 throughout the whole game is their striker. 60%. Expected assists. Now, that one is quite important as a striker. Okay, was 0.03. Okay.
Nice.
Now, the striker up the front that got the most was a guy called Barry. Now he did far better. Okay, he got 78% accurate passes, 21. So he did all right. Okay, he had 5 shots, and I think 2 were deflected and the other 3 were on target. So to be fair to the bloke, he didn't do too bad. The only snag was he was shooting from no man's land with no chance of scoring a goal. It was just no point of shooting from where he did. So his expected goal rate for 5 shots was 0.28. That means, people sometimes don't like the data, but the fact is he never stood a bloody chance from where he was just booting the ball from. No. He was wasting the time. So maybe his shooting should have gone to the guy in the middle. Maybe. Okay. He had 45 touches, which is not bad.
Are we still talking about Barry?
We are.
Yeah.
So he didn't do too bad, other than he just wild shooting from the left-hand side that were never going to go in the net. And he never passed the ball. And I think that's a fair assessment of him. A waste of time, actually.
Well, poor decision-making, isn't it?
Yeah, poor decision-making. So that's why they lost. Now, why did Wycombe win? We can talk about how bad they are. We know how bad they are. They're sat back on the table. Again, it's worth starting from the back, because building from the back is really important. I guess you watched the highlights as I did. Some of them shots might have actually... He did again pretty well, didn't he? Nothing went past him, obviously. That's a silly comment, maybe. But he's safe, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, difficult to tell at the moment if he's either kind of your average shot stopper or if he's actually a above average shot stopper, because he doesn't do anything extravagant, but he's not making a mistake, is he? And he's saving certainly what he should. So you may well find he's actually a bit above average.
Yeah.
So yeah, can't fault him so far.
I think so. And then again, he played with a back three. Now the guy on his pod thingy, he was taught. Oh no, sorry, it was the manager's comments about something about being unfair because they were the Wycombe man marked them,
right,
and so they didn't get a chance. So it wasn't fair.
Well, that's not fair.
No.
Can't do that.
But Wycombe's back line all got the same marks, which was 7.7, except for Farino Joseph got 7.8. But basically, they solid. Nobody was getting past them.
Especially not Milton Keynes.
Especially not Milton Keynes. In the middle, it looks like McCarthy and Wing, but Abita and Freeman, well, they always give the goalkeeper high marks, don't they? But let's come to that anyway, because that goal was spectacular, wasn't it?
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
De Bruyne?
Sort of.
Wasn't it much? It wasn't much different, was it?
De Bruyne would do it.
Did do it.
Did do it.
This weekend.
Yeah. No, it was... Can't fault it at all, can you? And he has been actually very good since he's come in, Freeman.
He's not playing in his normal role either. He's normally up doing a McCleary job, isn't he?
Maybe this is his kind of newfound role. If he's playing this well, in a kind of makeshift two in the middle with him and Wing, then by all means he can be a backup / rotational kind of player for the midfield. I don't know whether he'll get the same run as he is at the moment when Gape and Scowen come back, but more than happy if he's playing like this.
Yeah,
he's scored a few this season. I think he's scored some of a couple at the start as well. So,
well, the handy thing for him would be if he could. It means we've got a defensive midfield and an attacking midfield, don't we?
Well, yeah.
And we can use whichever we need.
Well, it's interesting because you would have thought that Wing and Freeman would both be kind of the attacking, more focused attacking midfielders, whereas Gape and Scowen are more defensive ones. But it is Wing and Freeman in there at the moment, and they're doing well. So,
yeah,
again, can't fault it.
No.
Obviously, he was still wanting to see a bit more from Wing, but we shall see in due course.
We shall. And then we've got Mametti and McCleary with Vokes up front. Well, we don't really have much to say, do we? I mean, they both, again, had a reasonable... Well, you see, what I think's interesting about this was most of Wycombe's players all got within the same amount again. They're all equally doing well. One slightly less, one slightly more, but generally there ain't a weak point.
Well, it shows how much the team has to work as a cohort to be able to play well, doesn't it?
This is Wycombe, isn't it? He's back. He's gotten back. We've won 3 on the trot. And we got Tuesday's game coming up. And so we said about this, didn't we? About we've got the so-called weak teams.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, I'm finally getting back to going to football. On Tuesday, we've got Cambridge. Now, Cambridge... I think they lost again, didn't they? Yeah, they lost to Port Vale. And so, in fact, in the league, they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've lost their last 5 matches, Cambridge. So here's another one for the taking. But be a little bit careful. Those 5 were Derby, Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday, Port Vale, and Bristol Rovers. But they are, aren't they? They're going to be ready for the taking.
Well, it should be. Is it at home as well?
It is. We're at home, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that should be. If we're looking to get up the league table into kind of the playoff kind of places, then absolutely. But I mean, teams will change something after losing 5 games in a row, and you've got to kind of got to be prepared for that, haven't you? So, not as simple as it may look, but still should have a good chance of winning that.
I mean, you realise that if Wycombe were to win that, 23 points would actually put us 7th.
Yeah. There's a couple of teams above us with games in hand as well, but we're getting back
Derby,
towards.
but we've got games in hand on Exeter and Charlton.
Yeah. We're getting up in towards that kind of 7th to 10th kind of range.
We are.
Which is
mad.
A nice place to be coming into Christmas.
It is. It is. If we can stay top half of that table, I mean, that's normally when we can go downhill, isn't it? Because in previous seasons, we've not had enough players to sit on a bench.
No.
And what occurs is we hit Christmas, everybody's knackered, tired, and 1 or 2 injuries, and down we go. This year, we've had that injury problem. We've had the problems of 3 lost games on the trot before the 3 wins as players have come back. And we've now got a bench. You see, I noticed that the MK Dons, who everybody was predicting were going to win everything this year, they don't have a bench. They don't have any players. If you look at their lineup, you see, they substituted this guy Barry on their right, the striker. They substituted him after 90 minutes. Why? It's a bit late, isn't it?
Not much point, is there?
I mean, if you're going to change him and put somebody else on, you need to change him pretty quick, don't you? You don't leave him till the last possible moment.
It's a bit more helpful for us, isn't it, rather than them?
Yeah, it just distracts them.
Yeah.
And I'm always interested when a substitution comes on for the opposition, having a listen to the crowd cheer. And you can always tell if there's a big cheer, you know, it's obviously a top player coming back from an injury who they've been really looking forward to. Whereas if there's a, then you know you're going to get crap. Yeah. And so we're fine. They're just trying anything at that point. But yeah. Okay. Anything you want to discuss to do with Wycombe versus Sheffield Wednesday?
Don't lose. Simple as that.
Well, thank you for that, Kieran.
No worries.
Okay. Looking at how they all got on then in that league, we've got Sheffield Wednesday were away at Lincoln and drew 1-1. Bolton beat Accrington, only 3-2. But yeah, that would have been. Although they did actually score 4 because one of them was known goal, and they were 2-0 down. Bolton, I might add, and came back and won that one 3-2. Plymouth drew with Bristol Rovers 2-2. Burton won a game. But they were playing Cheltenham, you see, who's down in that bottom 4 as well. So probably more bad news for Cheltenham. Cambridge, as I said, lost. Fleetwood lost to Exeter, and Exeter aren't doing bad. And sunny Portsmouth, I say that because we were down there in the dregs of Portsmouth's thunder and lightning earlier. they beat Forest Green at Forest Green 1-0. So I might have. You can say scraped it, but you don't. It doesn't matter. 1-0, you
But
win a
then, I
game.
mean, yeah, I mean, we haven't made it out that we scraped it. We've sounded
No,
quite convinced.
yeah, exactly. How do you play football? You know, and we score a goal and play it out and waste time in these 15 different ways.
We do.
Morecambe won a game. Now there's a shock. They beat Barnsley 1-0. Oxford lost
Good.
2-1. And there's an Oxford fan that does his stuff on YouTube as well. And he looks so distraught. I feel so sorry for him, actually. He does a good thing on here. He's very honest, and he's having an awful time. He loves his team so much, and I feel for him, actually. But their manager is still there, and I'm amazed that Manning is still there. Actually, I was going to have a look how many managers had gone. Now I can do this, can't I? By restore down and have a look. I think yes, I can. So shall we just take a quick look to see how many managers have been not just sacked but have chosen to leave? You can still see me, can't you? So,
do you mean from the EFL and the Prem, or
no,
just from?
Yeah, I'm just taking a quick look. How many managers have chosen to leave or have been sacked from? Let me have a look. Casualties. Here we go. Casualties. Well, 23. 23.
Already?
Yeah, 23 already.
That's horrendous.
And of course, the last one being Stephen Gerrard.
Bless him.
It's amazing, isn't it? They're dropping like flies now. I mean, we've had we've had 8 in October. So in the last 3 weeks, there's been 8. They're dropping like flies now. Apart from Stephen Gerrard, we've also had Gary McSheffrey from Doncaster Rovers, James Rowbury from Newport County, and Steve Bruce from West Brom. And of course, do you
Kevin
remember
Betsy
from Wycombe? Yeah, he's just been gone from Crawley Town after 139 days. Is that all? I mean, that don't give you any time, does it? I mean, how bad was he getting on?
You feel so sorry for managers because obviously, like this whole thing about your clubs do that bounce back thing, don't they? When they sack a manager, it must be such an awful feeling. The only reason I say is because Aston Villa won 4-0 today, and it's just like,
but
how and why? It's just horrendous.
Kevin Betsy, right? He was sort of helped at the England under-17s and England under-18s, and then he got this job back in June, on the 6th of June. He's only been manager for 16 matches. Okay, their win rate was 19%. Now that sounds awful, but in other words, he won 3 out of 16 matches and drew 4 and lost 9, and he's been sacked. And that's his real first attempt at it. How sad is that? I mean, the poor bloke. He's learning, isn't he, already?
Probably the only one who actually deserved to get sacked was Steve Bruce, because we know he's rubbish. Nah, bless him.
Right.
Something Tuchel got sacked from Chelsea. I only just remembers he got sacked a month ago.
Yes. Are we gonna stop here and then come back?
Oh, was the thing come up? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it gives us 7 minutes, so we can keep going and then stop at a point.
Sure.
Okay, I'll give you a warning. Okay, time wasting, Kieran. I want you to tell me I'll give, and you give me sort of, a bit of chat if I tell you each one, and you tell me what you think, and
Yeah.
how you take it.
Is that any good?
Yeah, this is your top, because I'm sure we can have got a few more clever little things in the bag.
Have you ranked them, or you just?
No, I've just put them in some sort of order, starting at the back, working my way up through the team, really. Because
Fair
I
enough.
thought, now what do goalkeepers do? And then they'll work
Yeah.
my way up. Goalkeeper falling to the floor just as he catches the ball. So he catches the ball and then he drops to the floor and then does that sort of legs out wide and holds the ball and stays in that position for about a minute and a half when there was nothing around.
Yeah, keepers seem to get away with that, and you do wonder why, because it's evident. I guess if they have to do that as part of the save because of the shifting way going forward, then fine. But when they're time wasting, it's so flipping obvious and so flipping annoying that they do it every time. Anytime a keeper can catch a ball, he just falls to the floor, and
It's the
yeah,
legs
it's
out wide as well. Why do they put their legs out wide? They smuggle it up like there's sort of.
I think it's a legal way. Like I assume most of these would be a legal way, but it's a legal way of pretending like you're not time wasting, but you are.
But the
So
referee knows.
yeah, of course he does.
And as I'm going to sort of say, I mean, surely the referee knows as much as we know that this is time wasting.
Well, he has to
So why don't
experience
they
it
get booked?
because otherwise people get sent off all the time.
Goalkeeper kick the ball from one side from a goal kick to the other side before taking the goal kick. So the
Yeah,
ball comes on, puts it down, and then trickles the ball to the other side for the goal kick instead.
horrendous. The thing is that there are so many that goalkeepers do that they must get taught. Goalkeepers, like outfield players, probably as well to an extent, but goalkeepers is the easiest way to waste time. That one's just so annoying because it's like it's 4 yards from one side to the other, and that 4 yards takes an eternity. So yeah, it's solid and frustrating.
I hope everybody's listening.
But did it not used to be that you had to take it on the sides that it got kicked out?
Yes, that was the idea.
Why that's still not a thing?
Anymore?
No. It can be anywhere inside the six. I think that should still be a rule, to be honest with you.
What about when the ball goes out? And this tends to be goalkeepers. And we've seen it. Come on. We've been up in those stands. We've seen the goalkeepers do this. They tell the ball boy, don't throw me the ball back.
Well, ball boys probably scared out of their mind, and they're not going to say no to whoever said that. So yeah,
you see them go, don't you?
Yeah, no, fair enough. Because I mean, you don't have to have ball boys or ball girls at games, do you? And it's like, oh, I didn't realize they were there, or the ball boy's nervous or something.
And moving that one on, not just to goalkeepers, but to throw-ins and free kicks and whatever. The next sort of stage of don't throw me the ball back is when the ball boy does throw the ball back, but the player misses it. And because he's turned around and the ball goes past him. And so,
yeah.
So the player lets it go. And so he goes over, picks up a new ball, and then there's two balls on the pitch.
It seems as though whenever a player goes over to take a throw, and even if it's the team that's losing or anything like that early on in the game, the ball has to travel to them at such a slow pace for them to be able to actually collect the ball and take the throw in. Like, if a ball is kicked to them at 10 miles an hour, they will not be able to pick the ball up. They just can't do it.
Control it, can they?
Unless it's given directly into their hands, they can't do it.
Yeah, it just seems to travel past, and they go and get another one. Oh, there's another ball on the pitch now, and the opposition has to run over and kick the ball out. Yeah. Another throw-in. Quite a few throw-in ones there. Throw-in is, of course, they need to clean the ball before throwing the ball on. They've got 2 minutes left, and so the ball goes up and down. They go and look for a towel, give the ball a bit of a wipe. Yeah, clean the towel up, then run it up and down, put it under their top and run. And this seems to just get the ball just perfect for the throw-in.
I'm not sure that one is as effective because there's only so much of the ball you can clean.
Does it help?
Well, you don't want the ball to slip out your hands, so yeah.
But a towel, you need a towel.
You don't need the towel.
Not really.
Towel's a bit overkill.
It is really, isn't it? I mean, sort of send it off for a clean or something, seems a bit over the top. But of course, it doesn't. Does it save much time? No, not really. But it can be a bit, just a little bit, right? And then, of course, the boring one when it comes to take the throw in, there's just nobody to pass the ball to, and so you sort of anybody there, anybody, and the ref, come on, hurry up, anybody, and I'm gonna book you. Oh, all right then, and then throws it. You steal too much territory, and a ref has to send him back. So you take your 20 extra yards, and the crowd go wild, whoa, referee, and then you have to go back. Boom, 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 boom. Not that takes an extra 30 seconds to go back, knowing damn well he was going to send you back in the first place. And the last thing you wanted to do was throw the ball. That was the whole point.
Yeah. It's annoying, isn't it? Because it doesn't happen in the Premier League. People don't care about how far the person goes forward. But in the lower leagues, because they always go by the side of the family stands in the lower leagues, don't they?
They do.
And the kids and the parents were like, it was there, not there.
But it's the only thing they can shout without being rude, so the kids can do that without singing songs.
So fair enough. But throw-ins, you can get a good minute out of a throw-in, can't you?
Just get the ball off the pitch, and you can just lose the whole time with a throw-in.
You need to have walls instead of just a line where the ball goes off, don't you? So the ball just never goes out.
Well, there used to be a game, was it called five-a-side soccer or something? And the pitch made up. Futsal. Yeah, and it was striker. You used to press his head, and his leg used to do that to kick the ball. So you moved it. The pitch was made up into squares, and wherever the ball landed, you moved your striker into that square. And when you pressed his head, his leg kicked out. And so you'd stand behind and press. But round the pitch, it had a sort of like a plastic rubber thing around the pitch. So the ball never went out. It just kept coming back on.
No.
Maybe you do that. You don't, the ball can't go out. Maybe that's an answer. You just put a whole fence all the way round and the ball just keeps bouncing back in. That'd be interesting.
Maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah. No throw-ins and no corners. Now this one, we're getting this one is one that really, really does make me applaud the team for skill. It's the conscience free kick taker. So you're 1-0 up, 2-3 minutes left on the clock of extra time, and they're offside, and you can now take the free kick. But where was he offside? Linesman. Have I got it right? About here, linesman? Ref. About here? Yeah. Forward a bit? No, a bit further back. Okay, I'll put it here then. The only time footballers play by the rules in fact, is when they're trying to waste time by asking referee and linesman politely, where do I take it? I'm not sure. What about that one? Does that...
I'm not sure it's as regular, is it? Because you have to be quite good at it. Because you can't be ridiculous and go 20 meters the other way, but you got to make it such a distance that you can walk over enough to actually waste some time. So it's quite talented, that one.
It is. It's a good one, isn't it? Oh, and of course, after you've found where the ball goes and you go to take it, then of course you leave it, don't you? And the goalkeeper takes it instead. Now, captain worn out, and he's coming off. But boy, does it take a long time to get that bloody captain's armband off to give it to the substitute coming on. Or you passing it around, and he always needs help. He always needs help putting it on. He can't manage to put that bloody thing on his arm himself, can he? He needs your help before you go off.
And then it's got to be given to the left back on the other side of the pitch.
Yeah, so you have to take it over to him and help him put the armband on before you can come off. Yeah,
and then thank the crowds, because obviously you're captain, and that's what you have to do. And
the 11 players, 10, but it'd be the 11th, the guy coming on for you. Now, I remember, I actually sure I remember the first time I saw this, and I thought this was brilliant. An injured player walks off because he's been injured. He's got to walk off because they're the rules, because he's had the medical team on. So you have to get up and you have to walk off and be allowed back on the pitch. So he walks off and then he comes back on. He makes it to the halfway line, halfway across the pitch, but he can't manage. So he sits back down again because he just can't carry on. But he didn't know that a minute earlier. So, and then the medical team come back on and he has to walk all the way back off and thank the crowd. Now, you see him standing at the side, don't you? And the guy's quick trying to get his top off to be ready to come on. And you know he's going to come on, but they've got to slow it down. So he has to go back on and then sit down so you're ready to get on that pitch. And you can see it happening. And it's the so conscientious about giving it a go. And he was never, ever intending to give it a go. What about the guy coming off who finds the referee to shake his hand and say, thank you, referee. We had a good time together for 75, 80 minutes, didn't we?
And then the referee's like, yeah, we actually did. Thank you so much for thanking me for my performance today, even though you gave me 2 penalties that weren't.
And then, of course, he does the run off the pitch that is slower than a walk.
That's a good one, actually. Is making yourself look like you're going above walking pace, but not actually. You're going even slower. It's the arm movement, isn't it? It's the
arm movement. You've got to get the arm movement right. It's like when I'm going to work, walking to work, and you get one of these walking keep fit people that I have to walk past on my way. And they're they're supposed to be going faster than me. I'm sure they're supposed to, because I'm taking a stroll and have to say, excuse me, can I come past, please? Yeah. Then, of course, you get really, really annoyed with them because they're wasting time and you're trying to get the game going. So you give them a shove. Of course, you give them a shove to get them off the pitch. And of course, they stop, turn round and have a long word with you. So while you're trying to get rid of them fast, all it does is means they turn round and come walking back at you and won't go because now they've got a reason to stay and argue.
Yeah, they're quite agitated by that little, can you please go a bit faster? No, actually, I can't.
Yeah, it's worth a conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now this one is always a winger that does this one, and he's running down the line. He gets shoved, and off he goes. Gets shoved off the pitch. Realizes he's off the pitch, so he rolls back on to be injured. Now, you've seen that a few times.
They're starting to get a bit better at it in terms of realizing when a player's going to do that. So players sometimes roll the winger back off the pitch.
Yes, they try, don't they?
Yeah. And that
ends up as a punch
funny.
up.
Which wastes even more time.
Yeah.
Because people only get booked and that doesn't make a difference. So, yeah. It's a successful one.
Now, this one, we're on to 14, actually. This one is when people take the ball into a corner. It's not sort of wasting time because it's legal. So it's not, you're not cheating as such. But they go running into a corner. Now, I don't get this. Because although it's time wasting, sort of, but the ball is still in play, why don't you just hoof it off for a corner, for a throw in? That's what I don't understand. Because we've discussed all these throw ins. Admittedly, it'd be their throw in, but it's right in the corner. Whereas if you fiddle with it in that corner, it always ends up as a goal kick and they get the ball way back down your half. Whereas why don't you just lob it as hard as you can into the crowd in that corner spot, but off for a throw-in?
Well, I think if that's number 14, I think that's the big one you've forgotten. The crowd. That's what we're best at, isn't it? When the ball gets kicked into the crowd, we keep the ball for about 10 minutes. They go get a new ball, and then we throw the ball back on the pitch.
So there's two balls on the...
You're
right. I'd never thought of that one.
That's what Wycombe are best at. That's what our fans are good at. We're like, oh,
we're time-wasting bastards. We know what we are.
Well, we try and throw the ball back, but we don't have the power to be able to throw it there until we eventually get it to the one person who can. But by that point, the ball's back on the pitch.
What I love about these is the way all these people get really pissed off and they start shouting time wasted, and just the Wycombe crowd just starts singing, don't they? They love it. I love being called time wasters, and I think it's because there is as much skill in doing these well as there is scoring a goal. It's a part of the game. Cheating is a part of the game. VAR deciding on penalties wouldn't be needed if people didn't cheat. If they were prepared to stand up, it's all right, he didn't catch my left ankle, it was never a penalty. Or if they were to stand up and say, yeah, sorry, my mistake, I did push him a bit too hard, it's a penalty. But they don't. We all cheat. I am sorry, people point a finger at Wycombe and it's crap. It's rubbish. They cheat as much as we cheat. Every team cheats to win these games. And time wasting is one form of cheating. And it is cheating. Is there any others you can think of? Because there's one more I want to mention, because that was 14. 15 is quite interesting. I want to finish on.
What about keeping the ball? Like if Mourinho's done this one a lot. Like if the ball goes off for a throw and he just has to hold it for a minute whilst he talks to his player.
Oh, yes. Managers. Ainsworth doesn't do it, though, does he? He doesn't need to. He doesn't get a chance because we've already wasted so much time and used all these other 14 that he doesn't get a chance to waste time, does he?
No, it's unfortunate because we need to see how good Gareth is at it. Yeah. Because if he's not very good, then, he might get the sack.
Has he taught the players all this? Because we are good at it.
Yes, I'm going to say yes.
I mean, look, you have to say last year's goalkeeper. I mean, how many times? I mean, He started wasting time
No, I'm
10
sorry.
minutes in.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
think he understood when he was supposed to start wasting time.
We should do it at some point. We've got to rank Wycombe players at time wasting. I've never seen anyone better at it than Allsop in goal. He was, even when he wasn't intending to waste time, he was wasting time for the amount of time he took to take a goal kick. He was unbelievable. He even got on our nerves a little bit because of how long it took.
Now, I want to tell you of sort of a successful time waster. Sort of, because he made a real hash of it, but it was to his advantage. And that was, I was going to say, do you remember? But you won't remember, but you would have seen it. Jeff Hurst scoring his hat trick at the World Cup when England won 4-2. He would tell you he'd done loads of chats, after dinner chats and things, because he scored a hat trick, okay, and we won the World Cup. But his last goal in that World Cup was a smacker. You watch it, he hit the thing so bloody hard it almost ripped the net. And everybody spoke about what a brilliant goal it was. Well, if you'd been to one of his after dinner chats, he would tell you he was belting that ball out of the ground. He had no intention of scoring. He was wasting time. And he hit the bloody thing as hard as he could to lose the ball, to waste those final seconds. And it went in the net. And everybody said what a brilliant goal it was. And there's the most successful failing, wasting time effort ever made, I think.
Thing is, he says that. And maybe, yes, he did hit it as hard as he can for the purpose of, if he missed, it would go as far as possible. But I'm sorry, it wasn't like he wasn't shooting still. He was hitting it hard and high, and luckily it went in. But he was still going for goal, I reckon. And it would have just been
You don't think he knows then?
He was through on goal. He wasn't trying to miss. You can't, like, he may well have hit it hard and high with the intention of it, if he missed, that it would go into the stratosphere. But you can't tell me he wasn't intending to miss.
Now, that's our time wasting Wycombe Wanderers help for all other teams. We just felt that we needed to help you losers out there, because you obviously didn't get it. So there you go. That's my sort of 15. But just on, I wanted to just sort of bring up one other point, and that was, I noticed the other day they were all sat there, all the subs sat there, sun in their eyes. Why don't they wear sunglasses?
It'd look a bit weird, wouldn't it? Very professional.
Sort of sitting there with their sunglasses. I don't know. I mean, we saw Wally yesterday for Chelsea with his green hair, didn't we?
Oh, that was awful.
Whatever his name is.
Reece James, yeah.
I mean, please, if you haven't seen a picture of that, you must look at him sat there watching that Chelsea game yesterday with his green hair. And you think wearing sunglasses, they'll look stupid, yeah?
Well, if you can't wear sunglasses on the pitch. So I think that's probably the reason.
And the goalkeeper, surely. When
they wear a cap, don't they?
The sunglasses. They should wear sunglasses.
No, a cap is more sturdy. If they go for a dive, the sunglasses can go flying out, aren't they?
And I thought, well, Mr. Tuchel, who, he used to wear a cap, but I don't think that was because of the sun. I think it was because he was embarrassed he had no hair.
Probably.
He thought he looked a twat.
One way of putting it, yeah.
Well, he did, didn't he? He was embarrassed. That's why he wore it. Somebody needed to tell him he looked an idiot in the cap as well. But
he's just a self-conscious bald man.
Yeah, a self-conscious bald man. Now, but on the sunglasses thing, I had a think, and I thought, well, in American football, they all put that black paint under their eyes to get rid of the glare. Why don't footballers wear black anti-glare under their eyes?
Again, that would look stupid. We're not American. We don't want to be compared to the Americans, surely.
A bit of anti-glare makes it look sort of, war paint.
I can't see it in all fairness.
Okay. I just needed to ask, really. And the last bit on daft things was, again, do you know, even Gareth used this week, and that's what made me think of it, was no disrespect, but Milton Keynes were crap. He didn't word it quite like that. He did use the no disrespect, but, and that comes up all the time, and I hate that comment. I'm sorry, Gareth, don't use it. Just say what you think. Don't put no disrespect, but, because what that means is you're going to disrespect them. You're going to say they were rubbish.
Well, then he's not saying it out of kind of spite. He's saying it out of, I don't think they're actually that good.
Well,
I'm not. Well, yeah.
So they say. The ref laughed at them. Okay, that's that. Premier League. Anything you want to say about anybody?
Do I have to?
Kieran.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to take the scores up. Right.
Kieran is now going to do his whip through 1 minute at a time job on the Premier League scores.
Well, we'll get the crap one out of the way first. Forest 1, Liverpool 0. Virgil needs to go back to heading school. We need to go back to school in terms of how to play football properly. Salah needs to turn up in the game that actually, he's not really involved in.
Is Egypt in the World Cup?
Yeah. Might have been nice if he wasn't, so we could bulk up a little bit.
Well, with a bit of luck, they'll only get 3 games like all the England players.
I mean, to be fair, this is the thing that I was talking to you about yesterday. People should point out that the fact that Haaland is not at the World Cup is a dreadful, dreadful thing.
Yeah.
He has got 2 months to bulk himself up even more.
I know.
He's going to be an absolute tank, whilst everyone else is going to be tired out of their minds.
Please just do a tiny thing on what you said to me about physical.
So, basically, players will go through off-season and in-season. Off-season, that is their time to improve physical attributes, i.e. power, strength, speed, all that. In season, because of the fatigue that improving a lot essentially has on a player, in season you are only looking to maintain what your physical attributes are at that point. So you will go to the gym and do your strength work and power work and stuff, but not in high enough volumes to actually reap rewards in terms of gains. Therefore, people who aren't going to the World Cup are actually quite lucky, i.e. Haaland. And also, this is why the Nations League stuff is so ridiculous in the summer, and this is why Klopp gets annoyed about game congestion, because there's not enough time to do anything in between games. So when players have their month and a half off in the summer, first of all, 3 weeks of that is time off in terms of them going on holiday and doing what they want. And then they've only got about a month to actually improve anything. So they're absolutely stuffed in terms of actually improving their physical attributes, which is why Haaland being as strong as he is so just sodden ridiculous and unfair. So
it's not good. It's not good for this country. I never thought that just Liverpool and Manchester City was ever just good enough either. Maybe I wouldn't be so bothered if Manchester City pissed off to some clever little European group.
No.
Anybody who've got, the foreign investors, there's sort of no bottom to the bucket. Maybe we just get rid of them, have a competition back again, because
Would be nice.
I'm hoping like mad Arsenal don't bugger it up. We need them. We need them in there as
But we need them
long
to be
as possible,
competitive.
for
Yeah.
as long as possible, because at least it might make it interesting for that length of time. But anyway, yeah, it's boring for everybody. Let's be frank about this. It's boring for everybody when you know who's going to win. Anyway, apart from that, Nottingham Forest did well, did they not?
Yeah, they were quite good. Fair play to them. They deserved it. They had more clear-cut chance than us.
Yeah.
Everton 3, Crystal Palace 0. Calvert-Lewin's back. He got a goal. Iwobi
You
got
know
two
he's gonna.
assists.
You know who was there at the game, don't you?
If he goes to World Cup, I'm going to
He
scream.
will. You know he will.
I know Calvert-Lewin's a good player, but he cannot be our backup.
He
for the
will.
World Cup.
You know he
I
will.
know. Of course he will.
He'll be there with Maguire, won't he? He will.
Yeah, Everton will be all right. Palace, actually quite a poor result for Palace.
That could be a surprise, that one. Yeah.
City 3, Brighton 1, or City 3, Haaland 2, Brighton 1. Good for Haaland. What a guy. Brighton, new manager, and
De Bruyne as well.
away.
De Bruyne does count. He did score a cracker, didn't he?
De Bruyne.
You know, Mr. Manager isn't. He's not. Says he's not up to scratch yet. Can you believe? I mean, what is the? What's he? Why did he say that? But anyway, keep going.
My
Chelsea,
favorite Pep quote. Sorry, quickly, is how he says we cannot replace Aguero. Of course you can't. Right. Chelsea won, Man United won. Chelsea kind of cocked it up at the end. Probably should have won the game. This is the game that's had more draws than any other game.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Any comments on Ronaldo?
Keane's had a lot to say about it.
He did.
I feel sorry for Ronaldo more than anything because because the thing was that he got asked to come on in the 90th minute when they were 2-0 up against Spurs. And Ten Hag had this thing about not bringing him on against somebody they were losing to out of respect for his career. It's again,
Brentford, wasn't it?
It's when they were losing to City, when they were losing 6-3 to City. It's as disrespectful in the same kind of way. Should he still come on? Probably, but like the general way it's been handled is pretty awful. And as a manager, you're supposed to manage personalities. And do you think Ronaldo's going to be happy for a 2-minute cameo at the end? No, he's not.
My point would be, they wanted him.
Yeah.
They asked him to come. They fought to get him.
Yeah.
And then they sit him on a bench.
Yes.
Right. And he went there wanting to play football. And he is considered to be one of the best in the world, who's coming to the end of his career. And he will never want to sit on a bench and watch the games go past. He wants to finish his career. He thought he was going to finish his career in style, instead of which I think United have poked him in the eye. And I'm not impressed. I thought they've been really nasty to him, actually. That's what my opinion. I don't care whether you think they're better with him or without him, etc. Maybe they should have thought about that beforehand. And maybe it's their scouts that are a load of crap, and maybe it's Ferguson that's a load of crap, and maybe it's Man United that a load of crap. Because I feel sorry for him.
Man United in general.
I do. I feel sorry for him.
Aston Villa 4, Brentford 0. Poor Stevie. Showing Ings and Watkins scoring, showing that they can actually put the ball in the back of the net. Absolutely.
Look out, Watkins for England.
Yeah, Mings will probably play for England as well, won't he?
With Maguire.
Absolute knobhead. Interesting, looking at the BBC Sport ratings, Ings got bottom, and despite scoring 2, there you go. Leeds 2, Fulham 3. Fulham doing ridiculously well for some
disappointed with
reason.
Leeds.
Leeds manager's in trouble.
He is. He's going to go, isn't he? I like Leeds. I don't want Leeds to go down.
No, they're fun. Southampton 1, Arsenal 1. Arsenal dropping points, probably not ideal. Xhaka scoring again somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always going to have a few results.
Well, he's in the right place on the pitch, isn't he?
Yeah, he knows
it wasn't long ago. He was hated by Arsenal fans.
Yeah, weird. Wolves 0, Leicester 4.
I think that tells you how bad Wolves are.
That tells you how bad Wolves are. Tielemans' goal was unbelievable. Maddison's got to go to the World Cup. Most informed English attacker at the moment, even more than Foden, I feel. If you put Maddison in the Man City team, I'd say he probably does better, in my opinion.
Vardy scored.
Vardy is still alive, yep.
Yeah.
And then lastly, Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. That's a very interesting.
I listened to that on the way home, Kieran.
Yeah.
And from what I could, I mean, it's very difficult on the radio. They're going, and he's going to score, and he missed. And when you watch it later on Match of the Day, it was nowhere near. But you just try and rate it. I tell you, if all the games you listen to on the radio were as good as they sound, it'd be amazing, this football. But what it sounded like, Tottenham were crap.
Tottenham were crap and too defensive.
At the point of saying Newcastle are all over them, all Tottenham have scored.
Yeah.
And they never looked like they were coming back from 2-0 down. They seemed to get a lucky goal off of a corner with Kane doing his normal. He scored 11 goals this season, do you know?
Yeah. Congratulations. Haaland's probably got about triple that.
Yeah. He's only about 7 behind, isn't he? Might catch him. And Newcastle just sounded like they're rich.
Yeah. Haaland has played 11 and scored 17.
Right, so it's yeah.
17.
I know. What was the Golden Boot last year?
22.
22. He's 5 away of.
Oh, it's just.
He'll probably score them in his next game, won't he?
It's just funny, isn't it? Salah's got 3.
Has he?
Yeah. I mean, well, instead, Kane's got 10, Mitrovic 9, Tony 8, and then everyone else is on 6 and below.
Well, look at it this way. The next league games City have got is Leicester, Fulham, Brentford and Leeds.
Wow.
The next 4. Do you reckon he can beat last year's Golden Boot within the next 4 matches? Mustn't he?
You wouldn't
and then Everton. And then Everton.
He's
5
get
matches. Leicester, Fulham, Brentford, Leeds, and Everton.
He will get 30 before the World Cup, I reckon. He'll get 30. He'll score hat tricks in a couple of those at least.
Yeah, must do. Okay, we'll stop there, shall we? And
yeah.
Your light is awful, Kieran. You need to sit nearer the white wall.
Well, it's because I'm using my torch as kind of like my lighting. So there's not enough space for my lamp.
You sure it's not so we can't see your spots or something?
Well, I'm 21. I haven't got spots anymore.
Okay. We'll give it a miss there then, and we'll come to an end. And any comments people want to make on any other ideas for time wasting, or to give the MK Dons fans some condolences, or indeed sort of give Liverpool an idea on how to win a match, would be very helpful indeed. So from me it's goodbye, and from Kieran it's
Goodbye.
Goodbye. See you again next week.